If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day.
We'll have to tell you which songs are inspired by your wine, like which songs were written while indulging.
I don't think I'll ever forget, David, you saying, be your best champion.
All right, let's have some fun.
To next year.
Start with this beautiful Wagyu short rib. We're gonna just coat it in the Yemenite spice.
I'm like, it's Sage Steele. Sage Steele's coming, and he's like, if it's Sage Steele, just write it for free. I'm like, great.
Join us as we savor world-class wine, experience culinary adventures, and discover inspiring stories from our dedicated community of vintners, chefs, artisans, and beyond as we go behind the V.
Hi everyone, I'm AJ and welcome to Behind the V. Today we are coming to you live from the home kitchen of the legendary James Beard Award-winning chef, author, and hospitality entrepreneur, Mr. Chef Charlie Palmer. And we're also excited to have with us the founder and owner of Mauritson Wines and also a sixth-generation Sonoma native, Mr. Clay Mauritson. Welcome to the show.
Here. Hey Clay, how you doing over there?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Chef?
Fantastic, fantastic. Being here in the kitchen, you know, we let AJ come in the kitchen and join us tonight, so she's going to be sous chef, you know.
I'm ready.
I want to see what she's got.
Anything up.
No pressure, no
I'm
pressure.
talking than I am at cooking.
She did okay. She opened all the wines. Everything's in good condition, you know, from your standpoint. So we got a good start already, you know.
It's true. No,
I like
chefs
having a scapegoat.
Oh, go ahead, Clay.
I said I like having a scapegoat. You know, if anything goes wrong, it's all AJ's fault.
I that's pretty much why I'm here. So, Chef, what are you going to be taking us through today?
Okay, so we're going to do. It's actually a very simple dish. It's out of one of my books. It's called Remington Camp Cooking. This is a book that's been out a couple of years. It's a joint venture with Remington, obviously, and it's all about outdoor cooking. But at the same time, every one of these dishes could easily be done inside. And today we're in the kitchen. We're going to be cooking a traditional oven, and we're going to be roasting a whole sirloin, a whole New York sirloin. Right here on the side, we got a beautiful, you know, I don't know, probably about three pounds of sirloin, trimmed up nicely. This is Clay might know this cut of beef because it's called Painted Hills beef.
Oh,
Yes, a nice piece of Painted Hills, and you know, in the book, you know, we have a recipe for our spice mix. But one thing I tell everyone when we're roasting a large piece of meat or piece of poultry or whatever like this, it's really important that we almost over season everything, you know, because it takes time for that spice to penetrate into the center of the meat, or you know, into the perimeter of it. So we got that going on here. It's going to take a little bit of olive oil. Sorry, AJ.
absolutely, go for it.
Away here. Just moisten it on the outside, and then we have a really nice mix. And it's all in the recipes. If you haven't seen the recipes, we'll get them to you for sure. And I think this is like mostly some granulated garlic. We got rosemary in there, dried rosemary, dried oregano, sea salt. But you see how much we're gonna really over season that, both sides and the ends. And then we have about a 375 oven that's been preheated. We're not gonna go too much because again, we're gonna look for like a nice caramelized outside without going too crazy.
And I also do want to remind and hop in, keep going, but I do want to remind everyone, you can drop your questions in the comments and we'll be able to see them and answer them live. So if you're coming up with this, you have any questions for Charlie as we're putting this together, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll be able to answer questions live as well.
There we go. I'm going to put a couple of ties on here. This is not, you know, this is just to keep it nice and uniform so that it cooks evenly. That's one thing you do when you tie something like this to make it uniform across. We'll Put it right in the middle. Loop it over.
That rosemary's beautiful.
Rosemary smells great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loving the herbs. Now we're going into the fall season. That's why I wanted to chose this for this tonight. Especially because of roasting is what we're doing these days. The weather's changing. We're into the winter months, and like roasting, caramelization in the oven, I think is really great. We're also doing a lot of braised items too, like braised short ribs, braised pork shoulder, those kind of heartwarming winter dishes.
And this would be a great recipe for a small family.
It is. This is a great recipe for a holiday feast, great Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve dinner maybe or something. We're actually doing something like this at Dry Creek Kitchen for takeout.
Oh.
Yeah. So we got that going on there. We're going to add just a little more sea salt, and then we're going to go right into a pan. That's how simple it is. Hopefully you get a good close-up shot there. We got some beautiful rosemary sprigs I just threw up across the top. And as I say, we're just going to go right into a 375 oven. And we're going to forget about it because we're going to go and have Clay tell us about some Mauritson wine.
I poured you a glass.
Yeah, we got a glass going. Here we go.
Well, the first thing I got to say is I hope everyone has a glass in hand and has opened any bottles they got ahead of time, because there's one thing that is a constant, is the more that you drink, the better we sound. So make sure you're cooking yourself early. We're gonna show some fun wines tonight, kind of giving you a cross section of what we do. We're gonna start with our Alexander Valley Chardonnay, which comes from one of my family's ranches in Alexander Valley, and then we're gonna transition to the Charlie Clay Pinot, which is an incredible story of the partnership between Charlie and I, and how we became friends and business partners. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about one of our single vineyard Zins, our Rockpile Ridge Vineyard, which is part of my family's original homestead. So a lot of history there. We have been farming that piece of property now for 152 years, I think, and 7 generations. So we're going to do a good kind of cross-section of Sonoma County wines tonight.
And I will say, Clay, thank you so much for your generosity with this package. As you guys can see down at the bottom, if you visit Mauritson Wines or even with SonomaEpicurean.org/behind-the-bee, you can see the links there. Clay is offering 25% of proceeds from these wine packages back to the Bee Foundation for the month of December. So make sure if you don't have them yet, visit that link, and not only will you be enjoying fantastic Sonoma County, you'll also be supporting the Bee Foundation.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any problems with the link, just direct message me on Facebook to our Mauritson Wines page, and we'll get you set up with the link, because we want to make sure that we generate as much proceeds for the Bee Foundation as we can.
Awesome.
There's a lot of love being shown on the comments for Rockpile here.
There is.
I know. This is
a way to get to that,
we're on together. Mostly, it's all about Chef. It's not about me. So I'm taking this all in right now.
I will say we have to make sure to highlight Chrissy. Chrissy, we love you too.
Yes.
Hey, wait, my name's not on there. Chrissy, I'm having a hard time. Yeah, I told you. Just here's the base. Oh, this is awesome. We do have a question for the recipe. Does the recipe work well even if we don't have a convection oven?
Absolutely. A convection oven, the question is it necessary to have a convection oven? And I always tell people, look, it's great to have a convection oven, but it's not necessary. Absolutely. It's really about controlling temperature. And I think with this, just if you're going to roast in a regular oven, again, say 375 is fine. Just make sure you turn the pan around every once in a while, every, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, just so you get even heat. It's all about the evenness of the roasting. Very simple.
That's great. Thank you, Chef. All right, Clay, why don't you take us through this wine we're trying?
Absolutely. So this is our Alexander Valley Chardonnay. And Chardonnay is kind of a funny story for us as a winery, because we're known as a Zinfandel and Cabernet producer. But the truth is my family actually farms more Chardonnay than just about any other varietal. But every winery in the world makes a Chardonnay, right? And so we didn't want to play in that arena. But I realized how ignorant that was, because when we opened the winery over 20 years ago, we realized that every second person through the door, the first words out of their mouth was, "Do you have a Chardonnay?" And so I went to my dad and I told him that I thought we need to make a Chardonnay. And he looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. And the only challenge was that all of our fruit was under contract with other wineries, which I think speaks volumes about the quality of fruit. So he told me, he said, you're only going to get to do this once. If you're going to go to these wineries and ask for some fruit out of the contract, we're not going to go back to them. So the biggest mistake I made was not asking for more fruit, because for the last 20 years, I've only gotten 5 tons of Chardonnay. So we don't make very much of it. This vineyard, while it's in Alexander Valley, it is actually right on the Russian River. People forget that the Russian River cuts its way through Alexander Valley. And so while we don't have the fog influence that you have in the western reaches of Russian River, we still have a cooling influence from the river, and we have that alluvial fan that we're looking for, that great drainage in the soil. And because it's not as cool in Alexander Valley, we tend to pick it a little bit earlier. As Charlie knows, and we'll talk more about later, I love white Burgundy, some of my absolute favorite wines in the world. And while we can't replicate white Burgundy in California, we can pay homage to it. And so by picking it at lower sugar levels, we're going to end up with higher acids in the wine and also lower alcohols. Another thing that's unique that we do is we only go through about 50% malolactic fermentation. So we're preserving some of that nice, fresh malic acid in the wine. And we make it in a very reductive style, so a very anaerobic style. And I love that in the wine. When you first stick your nose in the glass, you get a little bit of that matchstick, that reduction, that kind of mysterious characteristic that makes you think, like, where's this wine going? How is it going to evolve? But at the same time, and Charlie, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. To me, it's such a beautiful food wine because it has this just linear focus to it. It's very center palate, great acid, but it still has texture.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a lot of Chardonnay, I mean, I think, Chardonnay, I hope continues to go in this direction. But, I would say it's elegance in a glass. And I think when I say that, I'm not joking. It's, the really the perfect blend of upfront acid, first and foremost, that acidic edge in the front. Obviously, beautiful fruit. But then it has that really mellow and kind of really nice fruity back palate. I love that, because this is a wine that will go with a lot of things. It's, it's sturdy enough to hold up even to like roast chicken, for instance, or something like that. But yeah, very elegant and delicate. If it's like a fillet of sole, something really, mild in flavor, fish-wise, or something like that would be perfect. So, great wine. Good effort.
Thank you. As you know, we give all credit to Emma and the amazing staff that we have in the cellar. So they did a great job. And most importantly, my brothers do an amazing job farming the vineyard. So we can't forget them.
That's wonderful. And I don't know, Clay, can you tell us a bit about you said your brother is farming and then you're a winemaker?
Yeah, I'll give you just a little bit of background on the winery because we're a small producer and I know a lot of people out there don't know much about us, but my family is one of the oldest farming families in all of California. We homesteaded our original piece of property here in the Dry Creek Valley in 1868. We've been farming here for 7 generations and 152 years. My children and my nieces and nephews represent that 7th generation. But we've always been just grape growers, always sold all of our fruit to other wineries. And there's absolutely no doubt that I'm the black sheep of the family. When my parents said left, I went right. My whole family's Niners fans. I'm the Raiders fan in the family. After I wanted to get as far away from the wine business as humanly possible, I went to college thinking I was going to be the next Jerry Maguire. I went to college to play football, majored in marketing, minored in finance, absolutely nothing to do with the wine business. But sometimes in life, you just don't know what you have until it's gone. And it took me getting away from California to realize how incredible my family's history was here, how special it is being a 6th generation anything in the U.S. And so when I graduated from college, I ended up kind of lucking into a position in winemaking in a winery. And literally within 2 weeks of taking that job, I knew what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I very quickly started looking around thinking, what in the hell is my family doing? We own some of the greatest vineyards in California. Why are we selling all this fruit to other wineries? And so 22 years ago, I convinced my parents to co-sign a loan for me so that I could afford to buy grapes from them. And we started making our first ever wines from our winery. So that's the short version of the long story. As I mentioned, my brothers, they were definitely the good boys in the family. They went off and got viticulture degrees and came back and now work on the farming side of the operation. But all joking aside, they do an amazing job farming the vineyards and have really helped our family transition from being grape growers to what we now call wine growers. And it's just a different philosophy. You know, grape grower wants to maximize the profitability of an acre of vineyard. A wine grower wants to maximize the quality of fruit on that acre of vineyard because you can recognize the profitability on the wine side. So now we're a multifaceted family business, and I made the wines for the first 18 years, but 10 years ago we hired an amazing young woman named Emma Kudritsky Hall, and 2 years ago we promoted her full-time to winemaking. So it gives me a chance to focus on the things that I love, being out in the vineyard, doing things like this. And Emma takes care of the day-to-day winemaking operation. So we have an unbelievable team here at the winery. And as I know Charlie could speak to, it takes a village. You know, you have to have amazing support staff at all levels to achieve any great product, any great success.
Wow. That is great. And honestly, I hadn't heard that entire story before, Clay, so thank you for sharing that. Jeff, as we transition here, I know that it looks like we have some more questions up on here.
Yeah, there's a few questions up here.
Taylor Rell, talking of a good food wine, I would love to hear how you menu plan. Plan the good first, or the food first, I'm assuming is what she said, then pair the wine, or do you pick the wine and plan the food, and what makes the perfect pairing?
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, great question. And, you know, I tell the story a lot, probably too much for Clay to hear, but you know, I think it was when I moved, you know, and lived a good part of our here in the wine country, and Clay will tell you a little bit about how we got together. But you know, I have some Pinot Noir growing just outside the door here on our property, so we have 4 different Pinot clones growing here. It was always my dream to, as a chef, to grow grapes and make my own wine with somebody, and you know, thank God that Clay and I got hooked up, because you know it's been a dream come true, and we make some really great Pinot for over 15 vintages now. But you know, to get back to the question, you know, as a chef, you know, you grow up, and I'm not sure, maybe you are a chef or in the food business, but you know, as a chef, I would create dishes, create menu dishes, or you know, dinner menus for different dinners or that kind of thing. We would create the dishes, and then we would pull the sommelier, you know, over and say, look, here's the dish, here's what it's like, here's what it tastes like, and then pair a wine with it. You know, it wasn't until I was here in Sonoma, in the wine country, that I realized that, you know, that's kind of like really, you know, excuse my language, ass backwards, because, you know, we should really start first and foremost with the wines. And, you know, for over, 15, probably going on 20 years now, that's the philosophy that we adhere to. And if we're doing a wine dinner, whether it's Clay's wines or someone else's wines, you know, first and foremost, we drink, taste, and understand the wines. And then we go in the kitchen and create dishes that we think will really, you know, go well with those wines. And, you know, and I've told this story before. And every once in a while, we'll have what I call that perfect pairing. And if you can, you know, really pair a dish that works really well with that specific wine, it makes each of those things much, much better, right? So it brings that food to its ultimate. It brings the wine, you know, the taste of that wine, and you know, that's, you know, it's all its nuances to its ultimate state. And then you have something that's magical. And I think it doesn't happen a lot, I have to say. I can't say that it happens often even. But when you can get that perfect pairing, you know, it really is a magical moment. And I think, you know, we've had the good, you know, fortune to do that, you know, many times. And how many wine dinners have we done together, Clay, you know, over the years?
Oh, man.
And so, you know, we're pretty darn good at it. You know, always practice makes perfect. But that's how the, you know, philosophy takes place.
Well, Chef, you said something to me. You've actually said a couple of things to me about this topic that have been real epiphanies, if you will. And I think the first thing that you said is, you know, look at the wines in front of us tonight. We have a 2019, a 2018, and a 2017, right? So these wines are anywhere from a year to 2 to 3 years old. And you said it so eloquently that, like, there's nothing I can do to change the wine, right? It's been in the bottle for years now. But you can craft a dish around that wine. So back to Taylor's question, you know, I think you always start with the wine, because the food can be amended to it. You can't change the wine once it's in the bottle. And another thing that I love that you told me about food pairing is think of it as parallels or perpendiculars, right? So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about that, about taking the acid and pairing it with an acidic wine, or taking a wine that has acid and pairing it with a fatty dish, because you can really play off those two different things.
Well, that's exactly it. And I think, we've been doing this obviously for a long, long time. I don't want to date myself, obviously. But
You started when you were 5.
Yeah. I started young, which is true. But, a good example of that, the perfect example of that, I think, is Pigs and Pinot. Pigs and Pinot, an entire event, which has become a national kind of, really recognized event celebrating pork and Pinot Noir, really came out of that very simple premise of, I thought Pinot Noir in general, most Pinots are perfect pairings with pork products. And when I say that, it's like when you think about, the structure of Pinot, and that really great upfront fruit, accessible, when it's young, usually, really, good acid wines, but really depth of flavor is a pairing for all the things you think about with pork, which is that fattiness, that saltiness, because of a lot of salted pork products, smokiness, like smoked bacon, smoked hams and things like that. It's kind of that perfect wine for that, for pork, in my mind, anyways. But and I guess a lot of people agree, because Pigs and Pinot has become a juggernaut, an event. It's a fundraising event. Those of you who don't know, and it's been extremely successful, knock on wood, over many, many years. So, and we can't wait to do the next, Pigs and Pinot this coming year. Yeah.
Well, once again, guys, we are here with Chef Charlie Palmer and Clay Mauritson of Mauritson Wines. We will be having Sage Steele joining us shortly.
Sage is going to come see us.
She's going to come see us right after SportsCenter. How lucky are we? So she'll be coming right on in. And once again, for those that are watching as we're getting ready for this next portion, if you go to MauritsonWines.com and find our V Foundation virtual series, there we go. Now we have the link up there. If you visit the link below, and you can find the Mauritson Wines Special V Foundation package. They will be donating 25% of those proceeds back to the V Foundation. So once again, thank you, Clay. And thanks to you, Charlie, because you have been with us for many years. And we can't, once again, through auction lots, through events, you have just done so much for the V Foundation. And it just really proves, obviously, to all of our audiences, you both have such philanthropic hearts and generous hearts, and we just are so honored to be a part of that.
Well, I've been involved with you all in the V Foundation for years, and it kind of hits home. I have cancer research. It's been too close to my family, over the years. My mom unfortunately died of breast cancer, and and a couple of people that are very close to us, have cancer at the moment. So anything that we can do, and whether it's chef community, the winery community, I think there's no one that's more giving in our community, and there's no more cause that's any better than what we're talking about here. It's really important to continue the research and get to the point where this is not affecting people's lives like it is now.
Exactly.
So,
do you want me to
switch over here? Come on, let's switch over here.
I don't know.
All right, I'm just going to start putting together this little, and this is a very simple, we call it a black bean salad. But again, because of the season, I'm going to just it's going to be warm. So we're going to just start it in a pan. I got a little bit of olive oil in the pan. I'm going to start my red onions in here. I got some nice diced celery. I have some roasted peppers that have been roasted whole, seeded, and then diced up nicely. My beans have been cooked. I cooked some black beans with a little bit of garlic, salt water, very slowly so they stay nice and whole. So we're going to get those in there together. And this is all going to be dressed with a light vinaigrette, and I'm just going to make it right in the pan. So we got some dried cumin. It's almost a bean salad with a vinaigrette, but it's going to be warm. You could do this in the winter. You could actually pop it in the oven, put a little warmth on it when you serve it with your sirloin. I think it's a really great accompaniment to that. Grab a little olive oil over here. You know, here in the wine country, you can never get too much olive oil, and so many wineries are making single vineyards or estate olive oils. That it's really great. That's a little bit of Raffinelli's olive oil here. Clay won't give me any. I'll be using his. But, he's very stingy with his olive oil.
You got to be on the special list to get the olive oil.
That's it. And that's as simple as it gets. You know, I have some really finely chopped. My youngest son is a chef also, so he did a little bit of this prep work today. And look at that.
He chopped that?
This is cilantro that's been minced to the point of like perfection.
Wow, that is very impressive.
You know, he's had a little of that 3-star experience, 3-star Michelin experience. So there's no lacks here.
No, I can honestly say I'm pretty sure my cilantro.
Yep. We're gonna get our sherry vinegar in there, a nice acidic edge, and a good amount of cilantro. I'm gonna put some cilantro in there. Just gonna warm it all together. AJ, grab me a little sea salt there. That open container.
There you are.
There's my
I'm
sous
doing
chef.
my job.
That's my sous chef right there. See, don't be cheap with the salt. All right, and then I got a little pepper here. I got my cracked white pepper.
While you're seasoning that dish, Charlie, we got to give a little shout out to Mendy Caligari, who is watching.
There we go.
This Pinot Award comes from, which is awesome. I mean, we'll tell the story later, but it's pretty cool to have all these people logging in and watching what we're doing.
Oh, that's so fun. Thank you for tuning in, Mendy.
No, absolutely. Hey, and Clay, you know, while I'm finishing up here, this is really simple. I'm just going to add my feta last minute here. But, you know, why don't you tell our audience how you and I met as far as like and got into the wine business together? Don't lie. Tell them the truth. Right?
Y'all might see Charlie blush. I'm just warning you now. So to understand the story of how Charlie and I met, you got to understand my dad, and hopefully you paint a picture when you hear that we're 6th-generation farmers. But my dad, in every sense of the term, is a simple man. Hasn't been on a plane more than about 5 times in his life because everything he needs and loves is here in Sonoma County. So I'm having lunch with my dad, and this is 20 years ago. And my dad says to me, he says, "Hey, you know some guy named Charlie Parker?" And I'm thinking to myself, why is a man who's listened to nothing but Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings his whole life asking about a dead jazz musician? You know? And so I said, "Are you talking about the jazz musician?" He said, No, I think this guy's a chef. And I said, "Charlie Palmer?" He said, Yeah, that's him. I said, "Of course I know who Charlie Palmer is. Why?" And my dad had the ultimate mic drop moment. He said, he called me a couple weeks ago. No more, just that Charlie Palmer had called my dad. And so I'm like in just a complete funk thinking, what parallel universe am I living in that Charlie Palmer is calling my dad? And he says, he's like, he wants me to plant some pain in the ass 2 acres of Pinot Noir, and he's got all these clones he wants to use. And so I went on to explain to my dad who Charlie Palmer was, because my dad just wouldn't have known. And he starts to think, and you can see the hamster wheel going. And he says, do you think if maybe we did this vineyard project that Charlie would use my beef in his restaurants? So I said, well, you're never going to find out if you don't go meet with the man. I mean, come on. So long story
short, this works.
My dad drags me along to this meeting, and we meet Charlie at this absolutely beautiful blank canvas of a property where Charlie laid out his vision of where he wanted to build his family's home and how he wanted to plant this vineyard. And to my dad's credit, and Charlie, you might be able to elaborate on this, you got my dad's number because you had asked around the locals who was the best person to develop a hillside vineyard. And my dad has an incredibly well-earned reputation for what he did with our Rockpile vineyards and other vineyards. So long story short, we met with Charlie, we planted the vineyard, And this is the best part of the story. About 5 years go by, and we're farming the vineyard for Charlie. And I get this phone call from Charlie, and we become, friends, quasi-acquaintances, but we didn't really hang out that much. And this is in 2005. And Charlie says, hey, me and a bunch of buddies are going to France, and we're going to spend some time in Burgundy, and we're going to do the Hospice de Beaune. I was wondering if you wanted to come along. And I'm thinking, like, how many Clays in the wine industry can there be? Because Charlie's got the wrong number. So Mom told me never to shoot a gift horse in the mouth. And so I said, absolutely. And to say that it was one of the greatest food and wine experiences of my life would be an absolute understatement. I mean, Charlie, tell me I'm not lying when I say that we ate our way from Paris to Burgundy and back at nothing but Michelin-starred restaurants. And as a winemaker, I've had the opportunity to travel internationally, and, wineries extend such incredible hospitality to visiting winemakers. Trust me when I say it is nothing when it compares to a world-famous chef who's visiting the wine regions. And so we had literally the red carpet rolled out for us everywhere we went. We went to the Hospice de Beaune. We attended Les Palais. And on the drive back from Burgundy to Paris, Charlie very bluntly said, so I bet you wonder what you're doing here. And I said, I wasn't going to ask. I was afraid I'd get uninvited. So you said exactly what you said earlier, Charlie. You mentioned that my family had helped you fulfill one of your lifelong dreams, and that was to have your own vineyard. And the second part of the equation was you always had wanted to make your own wine. And you basically had invited me along to test my palate, to see my understanding of food and wine pairings. And you've always been a huge fan of Burgundy, and to see if I could appreciate those nuances that you loved about how Burgundy Pinot Noirs paired with food. And I guess it's safe to say that I passed the test because, as you said, now 15 years strong, we've been making wine together. And I could not be prouder of the partnership that we've created, not just in winemaking, but all of the charitable things that we've done together. And it's just an honor to get to do this with you year in and year out. So that's the story. And man, cheers to that. And damn, this
that is quite strategic.
This is good Pinot, though,
It is very good. And I hope to talk more about your charitable projects here in a bit. I will say that we are just a few minutes out from having Sage join us. So we are very excited about that. Clay, can you take us a bit through the Pinot?
I would love to. So, I'm going to be honest. I've been drinking the 2017s because, they are a little bit, more approachable right now. So I haven't had much of the 18. This is tasting freaking amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. And, not to sound like a broken record, but there's notes of it that remind me of the Chardonnay. It has an old world characteristic to it. There is this kind of just mysteriousness. I mean, there's so much going on in the glass. And every time I stick my nose in it, I smell something different. And it's not just that monochromatic fruit. You have spice, you've got earth, you've got subtleties of oak. And, from a winemaking perspective, Charlie, I give you the ultimate credit because you really leave Em and I alone to make the winemaking decisions, when the fruit's going to get picked, how we ferment it. But I can say, as someone who's been making wine for 23 years now, that it is an unbelievable asset to have your palate in the blending process. I mean, you bring so much nuance to what you taste in the glass when it comes through blending. And you taste that, I think, in every wine that we make, but certainly in this, that this is not only a Pinot Noir that is so a perfect representation of the varietal, but it's such an eloquent food wine. It has so many different nuances to pair with. And I know that was what we set out for when we started talking about the wine that we wanted to make and how we were going to find those vineyard sources like Caligari, like Dutton, to complement your estate vineyard.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. My hat's off to the Caligaris and the Duttons, and we're so thankful to get that fruit and and be able to create the blend. Because as Clay said, the biggest kick I got out of this is like that blending process and really figuring out what the barrels are going to go, what goes best together. And I love doing that, as you know. And I mean, I think there's a little bit of Burgundy funk in here. If you
Absolutely, no, that's what I call that kind of that mysteriousness. Like we don't want, we don't want wines that reveal everything.
I have a quick update because we are drinking this red. I feel like we need to bring Sage into the party.
Yeah, where is Sage? She loves Pinot.
She does love Pinot.
Come on.
Hey, Sage.
So we are on to the Pinot, Sage. I mean, you can start with the Chardonnay. We are on to the Pinot now. If you want to join us for Pinot.
Clay, don't you go in order?
You should drink faster. It makes me even smarter and better looking the more that you drink.
Exactly.
I got off the air 37 minutes ago. I drove. I won't tell you how fast I drove because there's priorities in life. And thank you, especially because we got about 2 feet of snow last night. And so I'm a little bitter. You guys are all where?
Yeah, if we're wearing like short sleeves.
Wine country, Sage. Wine country.
I hate you all. I love you.
We don't have it's so good to have you with us, Sage. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I know that obviously you and Charlie have a long-standing relationship. And our report, of course, now you get to try Clay's amazing wines. It's so great to have her.
Honestly, thank you so much. And actually, look what I remembered. I got this apron from the culinary kickoff at the Super Bowl last year. Yes. Thank you, Charlie. Yes. So since I didn't have time to change my clothes, and this makes me look like I know what I'm doing, but you guys know that I don't.
Sage, that's not true. That's not true. But you missed a little the cooking thing. But you don't want to cook anyways. It's all about placing a reservation or an order. Don't get complicated in the kitchen.
I need people to cook for me, but here's the thing. I do. My best friend is here, and she came to help out. And if I could show you, she won't come on camera, but if I could show you what she did with your recipe, this is insane.
Right.
It is stunning and gorgeous, and I'm not sharing with my kids. I told them to get out of the kitchen. Let me play catch up. You're on the Pinot, you said?
We're on the Pinot now. Play catch up.
Okay.
It just means we need to drink faster. Because like Clay said, the more everyone drinks, the better we sound.
Yeah, but you know how bad I can be, and how I'm a lightweight, and it doesn't take much. And then what happens on this live stays on this live, right?
Yeah, yes, sure. Exactly.
Streaming to all of the people.
I got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like to sell you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Clay, thank you.
That's such a fun thing to say.
By the way, I just want to, thank you guys so much for doing it. And the V Foundation, I guess I've been involved now officially for a year, right, Amanda? When I joined the board, and what a year it's been. But that's why it's so near and dear to my heart, is because, with all that's happened this year, cancer research and the funding for it has been affected. So for so many people that we know, and people like my father, I think they need it now more than ever. So I know that you've already gone through it, but if you could repeat maybe for me, since my brain is frazzled, but if people are buying the wines, part of the proceeds go back to the V Foundation, correct?
25% of the proceeds.
We're donating 25% back to the V Foundation, and we have already got a ton of orders. So it is going to be such an honor to write that check to the V Foundation. There's nothing that just excites me more than being able to do that.
That is awesome. And Charlie, I wish I could give you a hug. And you know what?
I know. We're going to miss you. What's going to happen during the Super Bowl? What this virtual stuff is great, but it's not,
You know
not
what?
like the real deal.
I don't care when I see you. I'm hugging you, okay? Just be ready.
Perfect.
It's going to happen.
Done.
Sage is actually going to be our host for the Sonoma Epicurean when we are able to get together live. So we are so excited to have her out here. It's such a natural pairing, obviously, since she is part of the Z family and so close to all of our Sonoma partners. So we're so excited to have you as our host for that as well, Sage.
Here's the problem. Once you get me out there in Sonoma County, I'll wash dishes, but as long as I have a room in your basement, I'm staying. I'm not coming back here.
We'll just steal you and keep you on the West Coast. We're okay with that.
Sage, you can broadcast from your kitchen. We can broadcast from the kitchen. It's all good.
No, thank you. That's what I always say. I mean, plus I would be so much better with like just one glass of wine before I go on air. I would be so much better.
Well, don't you have an LA studio now? What are you doing back there in the snow?
You're so rubbing it in. Yes, we have an LA studio. But the only SportsCenter we do out of that studio is the 1 a.m. Eastern time, and that isn't even every night. I know, look, you're laughing. You people just laugh at me. So I you know what, it is what it is. And I am thrilled. We announced it yesterday that I'm changing shows from the 6 p.m. Eastern to the noon Eastern. And I'm so excited about that. And just to be able to be home with my 3 teenagers, but still do my dream job, but be home so I can have dinner and drink your wine at a decent hour, not at 9 o'clock Eastern time, right? So.
Absolutely.
I'm personally excited for that change because it means we'll be pulling you on to way more of these.
Exactly.
That's why it works for everybody wins, right?
Exactly.
Well, Sage, I promise we'll keep you supplied with good wine. We'll ship it. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I have witnesses, Palmer.
So once again, everybody, we are here with Chef Charlie Palmer, Clay Mauritson, Sage Steele, and then there's little me here just keeping the base going. So we are so excited to have all of you guys here. Please feel free to drop your comments and questions I should say comments and questions in the comments. That's a little bit redundant, but you know what I mean. So go ahead and drop your questions in the comments and we can answer those live. Chef, where are we going to next with this?
I'm gonna pull this sirloin out of the oven, Clay, and maybe you want to talk about this next wine, while I'm doing that. It'd be a good time to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to be biased, Chef. I'm going to say that, considering the sirloin and the Painted Hills connection, I think the Zin is going to be the best pairing with that dish. This is one of our single vineyard Zins. If everyone's got it in front of them, for those of you that are drinking alongside our Rockpile Ridge Vineyard. This is very near and dear to my family's heart. This is what's left of our original homestead. So we have literally owned and farmed this piece of property contiguously for 7 generations and 152 years. We only make single vineyard wines from our Rockpile property, so all very small production. And, our focus is simply on expressing the date and place on the bottle, end of story. And when you have amazing vineyard sites, it makes it a lot easier to do that. We often refer to Zinfandels from Rockpile as being more like a Cabernet drinker Zinfandel. They tend to have a little bit more structure, more balance than you would expect out of a Zin, and that's just strictly related to the very unique growing conditions up there. Rockpile is surrounded on 3 sides by a lake, so you have this moderate climate. And one of the most unique things about Rockpile is we have no fog in the AVA. So we don't have issues with mildew or botrytis because there's no moisture there. So what are you going to get out of that? You're going to get a lot more structure. Again, think about tannin like a Cabernet, yet you have all this beautiful fruit and spice that we love about Zinfandel. And when I think about pairing Zinfandels, I always think about, the kind of that perpendicular pairing we were talking about earlier. That here you have a Zinfandel that's got great structure and great acid. And I think it's going to go beautiful with this sirloin roast because the sirloin roast is going to have a lot more fat in it, a lot more marbling in it. And it's going to be that acid that's going to cut through that fat. And watching Charlie season that with all that pepper, and you think about the spice of a Zinfandel, I think it's going to be an absolute beautiful pairing.
Now, we did have a question come up, Clay. Where is Rockpile? It's an excellent question. All of us are local, so we know. So it's great.
So Rockpile is the northwest corner of Sonoma County. And if anyone is familiar with Lake Sonoma, that's a good reference point. The very sad part of our illustrious family history is that my family lost about 3,300 acres to eminent domain so that the Army Corps of Engineers could build Lake Sonoma. So the very, very, very small silver lining about that is the lake is essentially what created the Rockpile appellation. So, while it was devastating for our family at the time, the lake created this amazing growing region. So again, think northwest corner of Sonoma County, kind of the far reaches of Dry Creek Valley, and that's where the Rockpile appellation is located.
All right, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna see what we got.
See how Sage's roast compares to Chef's.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to show us, Sage.
I feel like Clay and I are just here to eat the food.
Yeah. You know what? You're the smart
I
one.
have no food, buddy.
I'll say, make sure you rest it for a little while. This has been resting for like 20 minutes or so.
How long, Tiffany, how long has this been resting for?
About
10
20 minutes.
Okay, so we need 10 more. I don't know if I can wait that long, but I will try to follow your directions. I mean, can I just show you how pretty it is? Oh my
Yes, show us.
Nice
It
sharp
is
knife.
beautiful, and I can take no credit whatsoever for it. Okay, how do we wait? I need a separate camera with Charlie. Hold on, Tiffany's lifting it up. I mean, hello.
Wow. Well done. That's
Charlie?
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Nice work. Look at that.
I mean, it's gorgeous, and she made it. I like it on the low end of medium rare. Like I like it bloody.
Yeah. Well, we got a perfect medium rare over here.
Yes.
I'm going to take, this is something I don't know if you have any fresh oregano or fresh rosemary over there.
Just
But I'm going to put a little scoop of that. Huh? Now, did you do the black beans, a little black bean salad?
Yes, Tiffany did the black bean salad too, or should I say I multitasked? Like in commercial breaks tonight, I made this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, what I said, and maybe you missed this, Sage, earlier, I actually, because it's cold right now, I had a warm black bean salad. So I kind of sauteed the onions and celery, started it that way, and then added our vinaigrette, our sherry vinaigrette. So, I added it all in together. And then, of course, the feta last with the cilantro.
So would you have done the sherry vinaigrette if it weren't warm? If you were trying to make it a warm dish?
No, and I think it's great with a warm vinaigrette like that. We do a lot of those warm vinaigrettes. But I'm gonna put it over here, so AJ and I we're gonna taste with that wine and see if we got a good pairing here.
I'm so excited. This is why we bring chefs in. So we can just eat fantastic.
Here's your
Thank you,
weapon.
sir.
Here's your weapon. There you go.
Clay, do you have food there?
I am the one guy without food, but as you can see behind me, I've got plenty of wine, so I got that set.
Please.
I should hope so.
Right, or should we?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
goodness.
Sage, you might have missed it too. This is I have the good fortune to get Painted Hills beef, and Painted Hills beef is actually raised by Clay's dad and some other farmers, so ranchers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
really beautiful, all natural, nice tasting.
I think I'm going to cheat.
Come on, AJ, we're all right next to stones. You got the first bite.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm?
Wow.
Sorry, Clay, but you are totally missing out.
Sorry, Clay.
That is insane. Oh my goodness.
I feel so lucky right now. I'm like,
We are.
Wow.
So
And when
how's
I
the
love
pairing? Sage, we're gonna put you on the spot. How's the pairing?
I was literally just going to say, with this pairing, it's perfection. I mean, I forgot about the black bean because I'm so focused on the beef. It is okay. Basically, when I just start to smile a lot, Clay, when it's working. So if I don't say much and I'm smiling, that's a victory. I'm not going to talk. I'm just happy because it's perfect.
Enough said.
oh, that's wonderful.
No, I have to say, Clay, this is really great. I wish I wish you could taste this.
Right.
No, but the black bean, we got feta, we got sherry vinegar, a little bit of sweetness from the bell pepper, and of course all that rosemary and garlic, sea salt, pepper on the beef. This is great. Well, the wine is perfect. Really, really nice.
What I love about Rockpile is a lot of people think of Zinfandel as being kind of monochromatic, right? Overripe, just kind of that jammy, almost raisiny flavor. But in Rockpile, we're able to get physiologic and phenolic ripeness at lower sugar levels. So you have that fruit that we love, but there's also elements of herbs. There's still earthy notes to it. It's not just a one-trick pony. So when you think about rosemary, a lot of people would shy away from Zinfandel, but I love that herbal note with this particular wine.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, it's a good pairing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Clay, what's your top seller right now?
We're known as a Zinfandel winery. That we make 8 different Zins. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory. My family's been growing grapes here in Dry Creek Valley for, as I said, 7 generations. And Dry Creek Valley is somewhat synonymous with Zinfandel. So, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. But I think for me, like having that creative outlet to make Pinot Noir with Charlie and do some of my Cabernet projects, that's what I love about winemaking, is that just amazing blend of art and science that, other than being a chef, you don't find that in very few vocations.
I was going to say, and Amanda knows this about me, the science part of it has always been a little bit intimidating for me, and not growing up around it and trying to learn about it more recently. I know what I like, sometimes I just can't describe why. And I think that's why sometimes you shy away from it. And it is intimidating, I think, from the outside to learn about, tannins, and then to do what you're supposed to do and then have the right words to describe it. What would you say to people who are newer to this and trying to learn about wines, and learn about the science and how that affects each person differently?
I would say that what you said earlier is all that matters. You know what you like. And one of the analogies that I use often is that if you're a vegetarian, you wouldn't let me talk you into eating a piece of meat because it got a 95-point score, or certainly not because it cost a lot of money. We know what we like. It's such a personal thing. And wine is so subjective when we think about flavors. And this is something that Charlie has taught me a lot about. Flavors are as infinite as your imagination. When you consider that, this bottle of wine has one ingredient, that's it. There's nothing else in it. All this is fermented grapes. So we haven't added any blackberry. We haven't added raspberry. We haven't added herbs to it. So when I talk about these things that I smell and taste, it's just how my palate interprets it. But fundamentally, none of those things are there because we haven't added them. So if I smell blackberry and you smell raspberry, neither one of us is necessarily right or wrong. It's just how we interpret it. So trust your palate. That's the one thing I would say is, what you like, drink what you like, and God bless you if you have an inexpensive palate. I laugh. My wife and I literally our first date was, she wasn't even of drinking age, which I shouldn't say that, but I took her to a wine tasting. She was 19 years old, and there was one of the many, many things that caused me to fall in love with her. But at 19, she had the most amazing palate. And she's like, I really like this one. How do you say it? Is it Petrus? I'm going like, oh. No joke. Absolutely no joke. She's a 19-year-old South African, knew nothing about California wines. And yet, so my point in that is that, trust your palate. Know what you like. And it's not about how much it costs. It's not about what score it got. It's about what you love. And don't get me wrong, as winemakers, and as I like to say, a recovering athlete, we all have egos involved in this, so, we always want to do our best. I mean, that's what makes Charlie so successful. What makes me successful is that drive to compete, to always want to do better. But it's not about, wine is so personal. It's so subjective. You love what you love.
Yeah.
I did hire in nutrition. I'm a little nervous.
There was a question from someone about toasting the rosemary, and this is a really nice trick. If you're,
I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go out the house, but I'm gonna try this.
If you're at the table, or you're gonna present, gonna take the roast to the table or whatever, or kitchen table, whatever you're gonna eat it. If you just toast some rosemary, just light it like that, and as it goes to the table, you just present it like that. The aroma is amazing. It really is. So I forget who asked me about that.
I think that was Richard Frazier.
Yeah, Richard on the chat there. But
okay.
it is a trick we use in the restaurant a lot. Yeah, we light the rosemary on fire as the T-bone goes to the table, and it's kind of.
I have trouble toasting English muffins in a toaster, much less.
Let's do this.
Watch this. Ready?
It's easy. There
Is
you
the
go.
whole light on fire? You just go like.
Yeah, just start to toast it. It doesn't matter if it lights on fire. If that's it, that's even better. But the green herb,
Oh my goodness! Who knew? Ow! Oh, okay. I need a big long.
Just a couple other questions that are popping up here too. Like if anyone's interested in the cookbook that this recipe came out of, go to charliepalmer.com. You can buy all of our books. All of my books are online there.
And then Richard had actually said
Great resource, yeah.
that he absolutely loves. It was a little bit farther up on the comments, but he said it's one of the best meals that he has actually had ever in Manhattan.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we can't wait to get back to cooking in our restaurants at some point. So
on that note, what have you done? We've all had to pivot so much this year. What are some things that you've done? Obviously, I know that you're doing so much. In the online realm. How have you pivoted this year?
We've pivoted, and a lot of what we've done and continue to do is what we're doing tonight. Is virtual, because I think that's a way to really, connect to people and still be able to, bring our kitchen into their homes. Which is kind of unique, and I think in some ways probably wouldn't have happened, without this. But we're doing a lot of virtual events, virtual cooking classes. We have a couple. 2 more holiday cooking classes coming up in January. So, Sage, will you join me? I
was going to say, I think that as we all struggle through this crap, sorry, it's what it is. It's been difficult for everybody in different ways. Everybody's got a story, right? I've challenged myself and my kids to look for the silver linings, and maybe that is one of the big ones, right? And as difficult as I know it's been for you, Charlie, and the entire industry, for normal people, and myself, all of us included, to have access to someone like you, a world-renowned chef, to be able to share. And then, honestly, this would not have happened without this pandemic. And as difficult as it's been, I believe that so many of us are going to come out better on the other side because we've been able to share these gifts in a different way, like tonight. We wouldn't be doing it this way without all this happened. So, yes, I will absolutely. And I will tell you, between wine and cooking, I've been intimidated for years. I'm really good at baking. I can bake up a storm, and anything sweet and chocolate, I will challenge anyone until the camera's turned on. But honestly, this part is intimidating. But I would be honored to join you, because I'm learning, and why not? If I have Charlie Palmer and Mauritson offering to help me out, why not? So in some ways, again, I think it's a choice of how we choose to look at difficult situations, and this has been difficult. But look, we get access to this, and I think you sharing your gifts, both of you, is a blessing.
Well said. Well said.
Well said. Well said. Yeah.
And Charlie, I know that you do have cooking classes coming up. The next ones are in January. I believe they're on the 15th and 20th. Am I correct?
Yes, 15th and 20th. And as I said, go to charliepalmer.com. You get all the information there. And we're so fortunate to be involved with the V Foundation, and behind the V. Things like this get us excited. And I think coming right out of our home kitchen and Clay out of the winery, I think is even more special because people love to see the back of the house, right? They want to see where the magic happens. So hopefully we bring a little bit of that to you virtually. Everyone out there, thanks for joining us, and thanks for the support. It's amazing, huh?
Well, and we thank you guys so much. And I really think I'd be remiss, without closing. Obviously, we have a few more things to talk about. As we move into the spring and everything, just everyone keep an eye out, because we will be planning some more online virtual experiences with Charlie. But really, I'd be remiss without kind of explaining to everyone really the true generosity that comes from you and what you guys are doing. And I know that Project Zen is part of that. And so if you guys would like to, I'd love to hear more about it. I honestly don't know enough, but I would love to hear more about how you guys came together on the philanthropic front, because I know that we were kind of going to go into that earlier.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna let Clay take that, but it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. I think we've done a lot of great work with it, and Clay and Carrie have really carried it from the get-go, and so Clay, talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to talk about it, and to be honest, Project Zen and the root behind it is one of my strongest connections to the V Foundation. My oldest son has Down syndrome. And, he wasn't diagnosed till he was 2.5, which was a unique diagnosis. And I'll never forget when I was talking to Charlie, just friend to friend, about that diagnosis and how much it impacted my wife and I's lives. And Charlie, you said, when you're ready to do something, let me know. And at the time, I had no idea what that meant. And, after we kind of really settled into our new reality and realized how blessed we were to have this amazing child. And yet there were so many people out there that were struggling with the diagnosis and really had, hardships. Charlie and I were sitting down and we started talking about, the opportunity to raise some money to help affect change, which is exactly what the V Foundation is all about. And so we started Project Zen 11 years ago to raise money for the Down Syndrome Association of the North Bay. And it has been just one of the things that I am absolutely proudest of in my life. When you can say that you've affected change for people in your community, that is the greatest gift that anyone could ever give. And we've raised over $1 million. Oh, I'm getting emotional at that picture. It's so awesome. We've raised $1 million in 10 years. And, when you think about your BHAG, really your big, hairy, audacious goal, out of this fundraiser that Charlie and I started, has spurred a brand new 501c3, the Down Syndrome Association of North Bay. And one of our goals was, wouldn't it be amazing if we could raise $1 million? Charlie and I have raised $1 million by ourselves for this organization, and we have done so much. And one of the strong connections between cancer research and Down syndrome is that individuals with Down syndrome are 400% more likely to have a diagnosis of cancer in their lifetime.
Really?
And we see it so often, and it's just heartbreaking, especially with leukemia. And infant leukemia is something that, as my role with the board of directors for the Down Syndrome Association, we deal with on a daily basis. And so, these two organizations are so closely tied together. And what the V Foundation is doing is not only making the world a better place, but it's affecting me very personally because it's making a place for everyone. We talk about inclusion in our society, but inclusion covers a lot of different gamuts, right? It's not just the color of our skin or what our sexual preferences are. It's our abilities and our disabilities. And to make sure that we're addressing that and, making, the world a better place for everybody. It just means the world to me. So I'm so proud of the work that Charlie and I have done and the work that the V Foundation is doing. And Project Zen, if you haven't had a chance to attend, is one of the greatest food and wine events in the world. We would love for you all to participate. This year, the stars have aligned. If you know anything about Down syndrome, the Down syndrome is the third replicate of the 21st chromosome. So 21 is a very prominent number in the Down syndrome community. So this year, Project Zen falls on August 21st of 2021. So it is going to be an epic celebration. Sage, you have a personal invite. We would love for you to be there, whether in person or virtually. It is a spectacular event. So Amanda, thank you for giving me 2 seconds because it really is. That's my strongest connection to the V Foundation. As Charlie said, this is a disease, cancer, that has affected every aspect of humanity, not just our society, but humanity. And there's no greater cause in the world to be a part of than the V Foundation. And, as a recovering athlete, some of the 7 greatest words ever uttered: don't give up, don't ever give up. I mean, just words to live by if there ever were.
I absolutely love that, Clay. And it actually is so perfect that you mentioned
the V Foundation does raise money for all cancers. And, Sage, obviously having you on here, you were such good friends with Stuart Scott. And obviously I know that you've spoken to many of the grants that we've been funding in that as well. If you want to say any words about that, we'd love to hear your love for Stuart.
I honestly, it's Clay, I'm so thankful for your words and your commitment. It's amazing what you and Charlie have done together. I don't know what everybody else believes. I know that I believe everything happens for a reason, even the stuff that we don't like, even the stuff that's uncomfortable. And by you having that beautiful child of yours, that beautiful son, all of them, but in particular, you just, what you're able to give back and what he is able to give back is truly priceless. I can't believe that it's been 6 years since Stuart passed away. And it's funny, they say time heals, but I think I miss him now more than ever before. The cool thing is that he continues to live on as so many of our loved ones do that we've lost to cancer. And I literally think of him every single day in funny times or times where I need some advice. And it's awesome. It's a blessing because he's when I walk through the halls at ESPN, you can see, you can feel him because he is ESPN. And it goes so much further, so much more, so much further beyond sports. So all of us recovering athletes, Clay, right? I don't know. I think that it's helped through this pandemic for so many people, to take a deep breath and to maintain perspective. And as much as we're all going through, we need to acknowledge that and own that, and that's okay. And then how about everybody else? Everybody has a story. I think everybody is hurting in one way or another. And so to be kind, you never know what someone's going through. And Stuart taught me that as well, he pulled me through so many things. I wish he were here today. However, his strength inspires so many, literally, I hear from people every day, Amanda and Charlie, I hear from people every day about not just what he did, but how he did it, how he fought, and how that inspires them every day. So he was a great man. There he is. And it's interesting, and I'll share this real quick. I don't know how much time we have, but he hid so much, and he didn't talk. He never once asked the doctors what his prognosis was. He didn't want to know. He didn't want to hear you've got 6 months or a year to live or whatever. He just was like, I'm going. I want to hear it. And he talked to me about happiness being a choice. So as everybody deals with so many things, I'm not saying it's an easy choice, but it is a choice. And to find in those moments, in the dark moments, the positives as well. So he lives on, and it'll be the first week of January. It'll be 6 years. But what a blessing to have known him and to have been around him, and for him to uplift me and millions of others just by being himself. And sometimes being yourself is scary, isn't it? To be who you are and your beliefs, even if it's a little bit different from what others think. So anyway, I don't know if any of that makes sense, but Stuart Scott leads the way for me every single day, and even for my dad, who's battling in his own way, And you guys, maybe you saw the pieces, but Stuart, even on the days where he would go through 4 hours of chemotherapy, and then he'd get his butt in the gym, and he'd do and then he'd do like the toughest P90X workout there is. So, on those days where I'm like, oh, I'm really tired, a late night at work, and I'm not going to work out today. It's like, really, get off the couch, get out of bed, slacker, go work out. It's beautiful what his memory has done to inspire others to continue to push hard, push through those challenges, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and to continue to raise money so other people don't have to go through it. But again, I think this all leads to kindness, right? Mm-hmm. And remember that everybody, despite the facade and despite what maybe is out there publicly, or despite how they treat you at the grocery store, everybody's got a story. Everybody's dealing with something, you never know. Lead with kindness, and I think this world, which is a difficult world right now, will be in a better place. I think I need a drink.
I would like to propose a toast to all of you, because in each of your different ways, I just want to say, from my humble standpoint of simply coming to the Bee Foundation, and I know that we are so honored to be able to raise money for cancer research, but to even be able to share this space with the three of you who in 2020 have just made leaps and bounds in different ways. You know, obviously raising money with Project Zen and Clay, I know, you know, everything that you're even going through as a vintner with the fires and with the shutdown and everything else. And then Clay Charlie, as much as you've been pivoting just in the hospitality space, and I know the hard things that you guys have been through, and Sage, I really want to raise the glass to the three of you, because I think that the three of you, even right now, are inspiring tons of people out there. And so just encouraging you to keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for taking the time to even be in this space with us. So cheers.
Cheers. Absolutely.
And Amanda, you worked so hard for the Bee Foundation. You are such a gem. So thank you. And I cannot wait to do this in person.
Hey, to everyone out there, this is something we live by these days. If you do good, you feel good. So do good.
Yes. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to start wrapping up here. We didn't even cover everything. I feel like we're going to have to do more of these after the new year. But there are a few things I think.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Sage can help Charlie in the kitchen on the glasses. So first things first, I did forget to mention this earlier on in the broadcast. So the glassware that you are seeing, that I know Clay and
Beautiful.
Charlotte, we need to send you some Sophia and Well glassware, Sage. So it's Sophia and Well glassware.
Beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
Glassware. And also just amazing people, great supporters of the Bee Foundation. If you have 6 Sophia and Well glasses, you get 2 free. Plus, we're also giving 20% of all proceeds back to the Bee Foundation. So once again, I know we're kind of close to Christmas, but you can still purchase them for great gifts. Here's gifts. Highly encourage you visit the Sophia and Wald's link that's provided. We'll also, obviously, you can check it out Behind the Bee as well. Just amazing glassware. On to the reminder of Clay's offer. So we do have Clay's offer, which is going to be giving 25% back to the Bee Foundation. So once again, really just speaks to the heart of everyone. This is why we created Behind the Bee, was to introduce all of our supporters to the people who help make our events happen. And our signature events are where we raise a lot of money for the Bee Foundation. And unfortunately, 2020, we've had to pivot a bit. And so what we actually did is we wanted to make sure to share your story with our audience. And so Clay, just thank you once again for bringing us these amazing wine packages, 25% back to the Bee Foundation. All of you are so incredibly generous. And Charlie, sharing this amazing food. I am fangirling a bit over here. I'm sorry for all of you watching online. I'm pretty excited right now. So again, and with Charlie, we do have the cooking class coming up January 15th and January 20th.
Join us. I guarantee you we'll have fun.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. He's absolutely incredible, you guys. And then also the Remington, is it Camp Cookbook?
Camp Cooking, yeah.
Yeah, Remington Camp Cooking. So you can also purchase that by visiting charliepalmer.com. We will have those links as well. So what's going to be coming up, because we did go a bit long today, but I wanted to make sure to have all this conversation. So we're actually going to be doing a couple of giveaways. 2 autographed copies of Remington Camp Cooking from Charlie. We will be doing 2 giveaways, so keep a lookout on our socials. I think maybe we'll be doing that here in a bit this week as an after promotion. And then obviously, Sage, if you have photos of your lovely meal, we'd love to share that with our audience.
I'm inhaling right now.
Exactly.
Sage is hungry. She's been working all day.
I'm going.
Huh?
It's all right, everyone. So keep a lookout for the giveaways that are going to be coming up. Obviously, we want to spread the cheer, keep it going. And yeah, like we always say too, Clay, it's one of our favorite things. I always end out every podcast with this, and it's saying, don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Never give up.
Cheers, everyone. We'll see you in the new year.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Thanks, Sage.
Yo,
Clay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Happy New Year. Better things in 2021.
Amen. 2020